In Libya, our consulate, the symbol of American prestige around the globe, was brought down in flames. America is far less safe, and the world is far less stable than when Obama made the decision to put Hillary Clinton in charge of America's foreign policy. Let's defeat her in November. Okay?
All right, Donald Trump devoted much of his speech to attacking Hillary Clinton and her foreign policy record as Secretary of State.
But I thought that was interesting. There were two moments where Donald Trump went off script. People were concerned that when he went off script that it might actually be more negative, turn up something. That was one time when the chant that obviously you were uncomfortable with and a lot of people were uncomfortable with, to lock her up. He actually came out and basically said, no, hey, let's just beat her November.
I was hoping he would do that. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, and also I think the way he handled the protester also
absolutely
was positive.
Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta responded to the speech, saying in part, Donald Trump painted a dark picture of an America in decline, and his answer, more fear, more division, more anger, more hate, was yet another reminder that he is temperamentally unfit and totally unqualified to be president of the United States. Trump also...
Well, can I stop there? Because that's what they have to do, Mike Barnicle, is prove that Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit to be president of the United States. Obviously, there are many Americans, especially, as I've said, people in the media that aren't going to like Donald Trump's speech. But temperamentally, last night, for the millions of Americans who tuned in for the first time to this political campaign, did Donald Trump come across as temperamentally fit or unfit?
No, I think he came across as, you know, a strong. He played the part that he's been playing all spring. He weaponized it a little. He was, you know, much angrier and much more consistently angrier. But the Podesta's statement, they can't do that and win.
No.
I mean, the question is, are we as a country, as people, going to be able to live through this campaign, 90 days of back and forth, without some sense of hope about what this country is? I get Donald Trump's speech last night. I fully get it. But there was a part of that speech and the tone of that speech, he wasn't talking about the country that I live in. He just wasn't. I don't know a lot of people who wake up every day so afraid of everything that, you know, oh, should we go outdoors today because there's crime all around and we are weaklings in the world, in the global picture? We are not weaklings in the world. We just are not.
But I think that the Clinton campaign needs to be very careful, and I think they made this mistake once before and then gut-checked it months and months and months ago, where they gloss over America's problems. We do have a declining infrastructure. We do have stagnant wages. We do have a middle class that feels like it's been left behind. We do have the very people that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren appeal to, the point where 10,000 people show up that Hillary Clinton couldn't get. So they have got to address that.
That's right. I mean, Donald Trump has to address it. Hillary Clinton has to address it. Anybody here with children? Anybody here with grandchildren?
They're not going to do it well.
Where are we going? Where do you want to take us?
That's right.
I think, though, most people here with children and grandchildren are concerned. 70% of Americans think we're going in the wrong direction. Congress has an extraordinarily low approval rating. Most institutions have an extraordinarily low approval rating. And when it comes to foreign policy, there are a lot of Americans who believe that not only the 8 years of Barack Obama, but the 8 years of George W. Bush before that were disastrous, that we have suffered through 16 years of disastrous foreign policy that has put America on the run across the globe.
Yeah, look, he talked about the economy, but he didn't say he'd be the jobs president, right? He said he'd be the law and order president. And so I think you're right, Mike, that when he's talking about jobs, maybe people aren't as sort of daily filled with anxiety, it's a longer term thing. But when it comes to just in the last few months, the killings that we've seen, people beheadings by ISIS, people shooting people here in the United States, police shooting people, police being shot. I think that sense of a world out of control
Absolutely.
is
Feel
not
that.
something people with kids and grandkids feel that and feel that in an urgent way that he was trying to address.
Again, and Michael Still, somebody last night mocked reporters that were, and it was actually, I think it was a mainstream reporter. It certainly wasn't anybody from a conservative outlet, but said you're shocked that Donald Trump is presenting a dark vision of America when it's really practically ripped straight from the headlines that we have been giving to the American people for the past year, whether it's Paris, whether it's Brussels, whether it's San Bernardino, whether it's Orlando, whether it's Dallas, whether it's Baton Rouge, whether I could go on and on and on. There is almost, I was going to say a weekly, but this past week or two, there's been a daily act of violence that has shocked Americans.
Absolutely. I mean, the question is, where is that utopian headline? Where is that utopian outlook? Where is that sense in the face of everything that Joe just said from our media and from our politicians that, yeah, okay, this is a tough spot we're in, but we're about to move forward. No one's talking like that. Donald Trump has really kind of put it and synthesized it emotionally, politically, and societally. So I get what you're saying, Mike, that maybe at the end of that speech or near the end of it, he does give that utopian picture. He does speak to that future. But Americans aren't feeling that.
And I've got to underline this again, Mike. Again, that speech is not for us.
No.
That is not the speech that any of us would have delivered, because that is not the life that any of us know. But get out of our small circles, and that is the life that millions of Americans struggle with every day.
I get all of that, but I'm telling you, my instinct is that these things, not the beheadings, but crime, people getting killed, it's been going on for decades right in front of us. But we have never had Twitter. We have never had Instagram. We have never had things popping up in a second.
Showing
And
patterns.
we have never had a country where the majority of people walking around staring at their phones instead of looking at the country around
Mike,
them.
you've just explained the reality that Donald Trump was talking about.
I get it.
That he's tapped into.
So when Walter Cronkite, when you had three anchors talking, and you had to cover news all across the globe, you might not cover a police shooting in Baton Rouge or a beheading in Syria. These days, it's the viral video from North Miami of the social worker holding his hand up and getting shot through the leg that everybody's looking at. That's become our reality. Marshall McLuhan talking about the global village that we live in.
You're right.
We never really lived in a global village as instantaneous as this, and that is stoking the fear. Donald Trump does not create that perception among Americans. He rides that wave.
You're right, and that's why we are without doubt involved in the first political campaign for the presidency where anger might be the prevalent motivation rather than optimism.
And you know who that speech was for last night?
Who's that?
The people who watch his shows, the people who know Donald Trump, and that's millions and millions of people, and he's tapped into them. He knows what they like, he knows what they want, he knows how they feel. That is why he is where he is right now.
The people who watch shows like The Apprentice, not people like us who watch shows like Mad Men,
and
The Americans, and Game of Thrones. I still haven't watched that. It looks a little too freaky for me. But anyway, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a different.
You're right.
It's where most Americans are.
That's not luck on his part.
And I've just got to say, Ronald Reagan did the same thing. He got elected because for 6-7 years he was on GE Theater, Willie. Over 22 million Americans would watch him every week. And by the time Ronald Reagan ran for governor of California, he wasn't a reality TV show star, but he was a TV show star, and that's where Americans knew him.
It's a personality campaign for Donald Trump, and you saw it again last night. People who said, where are the solutions? First of all, show me a nominating speech where they give deep, detailed policy analysis. But his solution is, the hope that you're talking about, is himself. I am your voice. I will take care of you. It's about him.
Coming up, we're going to dig into some of today's must-read opinion pages. Joe is a good one in the Washington Post.
I do. Really.
Show, live from Cleveland.